Welcome back to the Electrical Building Design Show. I'm going to talk to you about Autodesk University 2024. It's been a few years since I've attended. I was there in 2001 as an attendee. I was in there in 2002 with a booth on the trade show floor. This year, I was back on the expo floor with a booth. So this is going to be the perspective of someone who was in a booth, largely talking to people walking the expo floor. I didn't get to attend a lot of the classes or sessions. Autodesk University is Autodesk's annual conference where they bring people together from all of the different industries that they serve to talk about their products. They have a main stage where the executives get up and give presentations. Then they've also got a lot of smaller classrooms where you get in depth into the various products that they have. There's also the expo floor where Autodesk has all of their software being talked about, all the new technology that they're doing. And then companies like Design Master can have booths as well, and we can show you what we are building on top of the platforms that Autodesk provides. The expo floor was set up with a number of stages where presentations were given. My booth happened to be right across from one of the stages, so I got to participate in Autodesk University a little bit just by watching the presentations that were happening across from me. They did stream the main presentation in there as well, so while I was sitting at my booth in the morning and everyone else was at the main presentation, I was able to follow along with that. The main presentations, as you can imagine, were fairly generic. They're speaking to people across a wide range of industries. I'm talking to electrical engineers, which is a niche of a niche and a niche. We're a little part of the AEC industry. There's also manufacturing, there's all of the media and entertainment. So there's a wide range of people at this, and they're trying to speak in that main stage to as many people as they can. The biggest theme that I pulled out from those presentations is that they're trying to figure out what to do with AI. That's pretty much what everyone in the software world is trying to figure out these days. AI is the hot new buzzword. How can we shoehorn this into our softwares to make it something useful for them? The talks felt very long on lofty ideas and promises, not a whole lot in specifics. There's a lot of work to do to make AI useful, particularly in the construction industry. So just be aware, that's where people are working. That's where software developers like Autodesk have their eyes set in terms of what they're working on next. It's going to be a little while before we have interesting and useful tools from that. They also highlighted all the work being done with Autodesk software helping LA prepare for the upcoming Olympics. They seemed super excited about that. It was very interesting, but not necessarily actionable information. There was a new term that I saw pop up. This is AECO. So previously we had the AEC industry, architectural, engineering, and construction. They've now tacked an O on there so that we have operations. The idea here, I believe, is to bring in like that whole building life cycle where we're not just constructing a building, but then we're also maintaining it over the course of its life. I'm not sure how much adding that O adds value to the conversation. It does suggest that they're trying to drive toward bringing all of this information together. We have BIM, we have this model, we want to be able to use it through the entire cycle of the building, but actually implementing that is going to be a challenge. And just adding O to AECO at least gets us thinking about that. But as electrical engineers, it's not something that we are really concerned about. The presentations on the stage across from me seem to be focused on case studies about ways people were implementing software in their firms. I was kind of in the AEC section on purpose because that's where I wanted to be with my booth. So they were talking about AEC topics. There was one related to trusses, I believe, and then another that looked like some stairs stuff. And so they're talking about how their companies would use Revit for the modeling, and then they could take that to their prefabrication and do some stuff in the shop and then show up on the work site with this all built and ready to go. It was very cool technology, really. The punchline of both of the presentations ended up being, yeah, we've got this cool technology and we did this with extensive in-house customization, so you probably aren't going to be able to do this yourselves. Having customizability and the ability to do add-ins and whatnot has always been a cornerstone of what Autodesk does. It allows you to do these really cool processes in your company. The problem is that taking that workflow outside your company is difficult. To start with, you generally don't actually want to share what you've put together because it's your kind of own in-house thing that you've built and you've spent time and money developing it. You just don't want to share it with everyone. And then even if you did want to share it, taking workflows from one company and moving it over to another is actually fairly complicated. So you can't just take the processes and slot it into a new company and have any degree of success. So you can watch a case study like that, get some ideas for what you're going to do, but it's going to require implementation on your part. The other way that things get implemented is by software developers like myself. Now, obviously, I then have to sell you the software, and so I want you to purchase it. But one of the reasons that we exist in this industry is that we are trying to drive innovation on the electrical engineering side in BIM. And that either is going to be done with in-house customization that you or your staff do, or it's going to have to be a company like ours. That all of this innovation that's happening has to be driven by someone writing code. And that's either in-house or someone doing it as a third party and then selling it to you. On the expo floor, it was a success for our company. We had a lot of BIM managers coming by, people at larger companies. They generally weren't electrical engineers themselves, but they worked with electrical engineers, so they were interested in our software to take back to their design teams. If you're thinking about attending in the future as an electrical engineer, there's not going to be that many of your peers. There were a handful there, but it's going to be largely BIM managers in the AEC industry who you're going to run into. There were a number of classes on electrical, so there probably were classes that would have been useful for you there. Everyone we talked to about the classes at lunch, at the booth, had nothing but positive things to say about them, so it's a really good opportunity to get some training if you want to extend your knowledge of Autodesk products. If you're thinking about this in the future, be aware classes fill up, so register early and get your classes registered early so that you actually have a spot, because they fill up and then you can't use them. For myself, I had the opportunity to meet with other developers, which is always fun to just see what other people are doing, talking about the challenges of putting together software for Autodesk and how to get that out to customers. There were 2 booths of note I want to mention that you as an electrical engineer might be interested in. The first is that Siemens has a new product called BIM Power. It's for doing the modeling of your stuff in Revit. They've got some features in there for bus ducts. So bus ducts are not handled well in Revit. People are always looking for solutions. If you need something to help with the drafting of bus ducts, I'd definitely take a look at what Siemens is doing with BIM Power. There's also other stuff in there for getting in your electrical equipment panels and transformers and things of that nature. But I think the bus duct part is probably going to be the most interesting for people who are already established in Revit. The other booth I want to mention is Ripple. They automate layout for mechanical engineers, so it's not for electricals, but if you have people doing HVAC design in Revit, recommend that they check out Ripple. It helps with load calculations and diffuser layouts, things like that. Those are my thoughts from Autodesk University 2024. It was a good show for us. We'll definitely be back in 2025. Hope to see you there.